Hello and welcome this lovely Thursday morning to Market Insight. My name is Lavina Emma. So during the week, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Cardoso, met with the House of Representatives to address the rising cost of living and the Forex exchange. So to address the issues of Forex hoarding, speculation, dollar scarcity, which further fuels the depreciation of the Naira, the CBN set the NOP limits for overall foreign currency assets and liabilities, including both on and off balance sheet, to not exceed 20% short or 0% long. So on today's show, we are going to discuss how this directive from the CBN to commercial banks on foreign exchange will affect Nigerians, including the rising cost of living. So join me after the show. I have a wonderful guest to discuss this with. So this beautiful Thursday morning, I am being joined by an investment banker, a chartered accountant, a stockbroker with over 20 years experience in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Charles Fakura. Thank you so much for joining us on Market Insight this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I love your outfit. Please, what does this this red coat signify?
Okay, it's a wine jacket.
Okay, it's wine colored.
It's certified that, it shows that I'm a chartered stockbroker and at the same time an authorized dealing clerk of the NGS exchange. That is, without dressing this way, I can't get into the floor to trade. So that's why I am, since I can even trade on my phone now, so the market is with me. So I have to depict what the market is all about.
Okay, that's wonderful to note. I'm really, well, this is my first time meeting a stockbroker from the Nigerian Stock Exchange one-on-one, so I'm getting to know more information about the reason they wear this jacket, this wine-colored jacket. That's wonderful. So today, we're going to also look at a video clip from the CBN governor when he was called to meet before the House of Representatives. And my guests and I will also analyze this speech and discuss how it further impacts on the Nigerian economy and the Nigerians living here also. So please stay tuned.
Inflationary pressures are expected to decline in 2024 due to the CBN's inflationary targeting policy, aiming to rein in inflation to 21.4%, aided by improved agricultural productivity and easing global supply chain pressures. The Nigerian foreign exchange market is currently facing increased demand pressures, causing a continuous decline in the value of the Naira. Factors contributing to this situation include speculative Forex demand, inadequate Forex supply due to non-remittance of crude oil earnings to the CBN, increased capital outflows, and excess liquidity from the fiscal activities.
Okay, welcome back now. So, from that brief clip, the Central Bank of Nigeria governor, he talked about how, yes, he's aware that in the Nigerian economy, we currently have forex exchange issues. We've been having scarcity of dollar. We've also been experiencing speculation with our commercial banks. So how do we solve these issues? Because yes, I'm aware the central bank governor created the NOP metric to measure how the banks how they keep their foreign reserves, and also how they can distribute to customers. So how is this going to be achieved to eliminate completely speculation and dollar scarcity in the economy?
Well, thank you very much, Emma. You will see that the CBN is doing, these are desperate moves,
yes,
to ensure that we have some stability in the value of our national currency. Yes. But again, these are interventionist policies, and they will not solve the problem. You are not looking at the fundamentals. You want to get involved in banks' operation in terms of their forex, you know what they do, you say the NOP should be more than this percent and all that. All these are operational issues that concerns the bank. Your rules and regulation has already taken care of all that. Like I said, it's a desperate move for them to try to stabilize the value of the naira. Now, the fundamental issue is simple demand and supply. You are saying, why is the dollar rising, or the naira is depreciating compared to the dollar? Now, you have an economy where I wouldn't say dollarize. Even as we speak in Nigeria, there are some schools. They want to prepare invoice and they give you in dollar amount. Yeah, so, would that be the fault of the banks? Yes, the banks is just part of one issue now, that you should have guidelines when it comes to foreign exchange operation. And if you have seen that any of your deposit money banks that you regulate are not meeting to those things, you sanction them. Okay, but do you give what you don't have? We need to increase the supply side of dollars. It's as simple as that. Everybody wants dollar, dollar, dollar. And will you blame some Nigerians? You want to go for treatment, and you are saying it is abroad that you want to get the best treatment. It's abroad you want to send your children to school. Do you blame people? Because it is not even government money. It is their own money that are going to be used. But there is a pressure on the naira, and that is why we are saying more demand for this dollar. The prices or the value of our naira will continue to go down. It's just simple, basic economics. What do we need to do? Yes, I share the concern of the CBN governor there. He's also a very senior colleague as a stockbroker. But this problem cannot be solved alone by central bank. They will play their role as bankers to the government. At the same time, to price stability in the economy. Because with this dollar issue now, we are seeing prices of food items rising on a daily basis, and it's affecting the average Nigerian. So what the average Nigerian wants to see, we're not even interested in the value of the naira for say, but let what they want to go and buy, basic food items, is affordable. Before, the average Nigerian will not be talking about dollar. But today, the woman that sells stockfish in Oingbo market will be telling you, last month I bought it 20,000 per bag. Now it is 40,000 naira. No matter what is it? He says it is dollar. You know, so it has affected every aspect of the economy, and that is why we are seeing all this kind of complaint. Like I said, what do we need to do to begin to solve this problem? At least put measures in place, increase our dollar supply. That is the easiest way. And how do we do that? What do we receive? It's an economy of monoproduct. It's only one product we are selling, which is oil and gas. And even the oil and gas we have said that we'll be receiving these dollars, we're not even getting the optimal from it because of oil theft and so many other things. Then, of course, the average Nigerian, we must look inward and see that we make less demand for dollar.
Yes.
Will you blame speculators who on their own private business, they say that, oh, the dollar is going up, oh, you know, I have some cash, let me go and buy this dollar, and they store. Because we are told in simple economics that money is a store of value. So they don't want to store in naira, they want to store in dollar.
Dollars, yeah.
How can you go to their houses and tell them, bring out your dollars and come and supply the market? It's not possible. So the only thing the government can do is to increase the supply side. In fact, nowhere in the world that a national currency is just left to float. What is this floating? You are saying let the market forces determine the price of naira, supply and demand. And I know as a stockbroker, if you have a lot of people, you know, demanding for a particular security, the price of that security will go up.
Yes, yes.
And the only way, and that's why we have what they call market makers. We are saying CBN play the role of a market maker. When people are demanding, you supply. When people are supply, you now take it back to create a form of stability.
Yes.
But do you give what you don't have? CBN does not even have the necessary supply of this dollar to create that stability in the market. That is why we're experiencing this.
Okay, as a well-experienced stockbroker, I want to also mention that during the CBN governor's speech, he said there was a very new development which had not happened in a very long time at the stock market exchange. There was a transaction of $800 million in stocks, and this is something really new. So based on that, before we go further into that, can we just talk about how the stock market fared on Wednesday, 7th of February? Let's just talk about who the top gainers were and who the bottom losers were, starting with the top gainers. First of all, we know that looking at our graph, yes, we can actually see who the top gainers are. We have starting with 9.84% to 9.09%, 8.78%, and 8.70%. So these are our top gainers for yesterday at the stock market exchange. Yes. Could you please expatiate further on this?
Okay, looking at what we have there,
gainers,
this is what happened in the market yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at the market there and I saw this. Of course, the reports were out. Yes, we are looking at ICO, Cadbury, Guinness, Tantalizer, and of course, Honey Flour.
Yeah, the bottom losers.
Yeah, those are the bottom losers. Now, when you talk of the stock markets, okay, this is just one aspect of the capital market. Yeah. You're saying the stock market on a daily basis, that is buying and selling.
Yes, yes.
And as people continue to buy and sell, prices are bound to go up and come down. So on a daily basis, you will see at the end of the trading session for that day, then when the closing gong is sounded, we'll see that some equities will have gone up while some will have come down. So this just gives a summary of the top, these are the top 5 gainers for yesterday. That is Maya, Triple G. You can see the percent they all acquired there.
This is quite high, yes, yes.
Yes, it's a normal. A security cannot go above 10% in the particular trading day. And we are saying the losers, we call them losers, or the laggards. That is, at the end of trading for that particular day, these ones lost in terms of their value. It does not mean that these companies are not doing well. It only tells you that we are having more of the demand. You have more of the supply. So if, let's take for example now Cadbury, maybe that yesterday you had more people who wanted to
trade
to sell Cadbury.
Yes.
So the price of Cadbury will come down.
Okay.
So if you had more people who want to buy a particular security, the price will go up, all things being equal. So this is just the normal dynamics of the market. Prices will go up and prices will come down.
Okay, and then going forward, please, yesterday when the Central Bank of Nigeria, when the governor, Mr. Cardoso, said that the stock market, during the stock market exchange yesterday, that there was over $800 million in transaction. I think that is quite good, but how does it impact on our economy? Because we hear about these figures on the stock market exchange, and we wonder how it's going to influence. Does it mean that in terms of goods and monetary transactions, things will actually get better for Nigerians?
Okay, yeah, the stock market is one market. Like I said, is just one aspect of the capital market. The capital market is the broad overview. Just like you have the money market, you have the capital market. Though this differentiation does not really matter because it is still one financial market. Now, when you now come down and you see the stock market performing, note there are other markets in the capital market. You have the commodities market. We are looking at the securities market now. That is the equities market, you know, which most people call the stock market. Now, the benefit there, the stock market is supposed to mirror what is happening in the economy. Because you have all these companies that are listed
Yes.
their shares in the markets, and their performance will determine whether their prices will go up or come down. So, and if you look at the overall, if the market is doing well, it is expected that the economy should also be doing well, because the market is supposed to reflect the economy. But if you look at the Nigerian economy and you look at our stock market, not all sectors in the economy is actually listed on the stock exchange.
Yes.
And that's why we're encouraging more and more companies to come and list. The shipping industry is not there in the stock market. Even entertainment is not even there. Even the media, like your,
yes,
it's not even listed.
The stock market.
Just one or two of the media houses that are listed here. So yes, but the stock market will still play its role in trying to serve as a barometer for the economy. And again, I must say this, the stock market has its own behavior.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that affect what you see in the stock market, that affect the price. There are market hearsay. There is even sentiments.
Okay.
There is a lot of emotional issues there. But the thing there is, can we measure some of these emotional issues? You know, that's why I say there is what they call behavioral finance. So somebody has asked me that question several times. I'm saying, come, our stock market is doing so. In fact, we're judged as the best in the world.
That's wonderful.
You know,
yes.
for the whole of last year. And just for January alone, we had over more than 25% year-to-date improvement.
Okay.
Now, but coming down to the economy, prices of food items is going high. People are complaining and all that.
Yes.
Yes, it is bound to happen that way. And we cannot say that the economy is doing well because the stock market is, for now, is doing well. It's just a dynamics of buying and selling. And of course, how many Nigerians are even playing the stock markets? If I go by the statistics, we have about 6 million registered investors. And how many of these investors are even active on a daily basis? So the market at times has its own behavior, which might not reflect what is happening in the economy. But for those who are in the market, yes, I know somebody that we bought, I don't want to even mention the firm, but we bought a security for that person, and within just 3 weeks or thereabouts, the person had over 50% return.
That's great.
So you can see that the market now serves as a safe haven to beat inflation. We're talking of inflation almost 30%, 28.92 as inflation figures.
Yes.
And somebody is getting a return of over 50%. So he's encouraged and he wants to come back and invest more in the stock market because the return he's getting is beating the general inflation rate. And again, you see that most of these companies, they are posting their figures to the market now. Their full year report is also already coming. And once you have a company posting good results, of course,
investors
the
will be
investors
attracted.
will want to continue with that company, and of course, they will be happy. So that is why we are seeing the market. But of course, if you have been following the market very well, you see that I think it was on Tuesday, the market was, in fact, they started the week in a bearish note.
Yes.
Yesterday and Monday, yesterday, no, Tuesday, then yesterday it was flat. And as I speak to you now, this around after 11, the market is in continuous trading now. Buying and selling taking place. And of course, some stuff will have gone up, some will have come down. But at the end of the day, we will see the reports. And
certainly, and we
yes,
hope it
has to do basically demand and supply.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I'm still discussing further on the governor's speech when he was called before the House of Reps. He also stated that he believes with the measures that government is going to put into place, there will be a reduction in inflation up to 21.4%. I don't know how he intends to achieve this, but he specified that there'll be increase in sale of crude oil production and also our exports in terms of our agro-produce, what we are exporting, not just the cash crops, the food crops, other minerals that we have in this country. He believes by sale of our exports and sale of crude oil, these will bring down the cost of living in the society. So how do you think, I mean, yes, the central bank governor is very optimistic, but do you really think 21.4% reduction in inflation is possible?
Well, I will not say I won't envy the CBN governor for now, and I wouldn't want to be a spokesperson for the government. You see, when you talk of financial market communication.
Yes.
You need to communicate in a very simple way for the market to understand. And of course, the average Nigerian in Oyinbo market, the average Nigerian in my village in Patani, they need to understand what the government people are saying. You can see he's telling us that we need to increase our production. Productivity has to increase. That is the only way we can get the necessary dollar supply. He mentioned of our crude oil, that we need to sell more of crude oil. But do you know what is going on now in that space? Oil thefts. Oil thefts.
We don't have functional refineries.
Fine. We're even talking of crude now. We're not talking of refined product.
Yes,
we're talking of crude.
Yes.
And we're not even meeting our OPEC quota.
Exactly.
OPEC is giving their members quota. We are not meeting that quota. And when you don't meet your quota, your expected revenue, you will not meet. Then what about other sectors in our economy? Yes, they say agriculture. What is the figures? What is correlation of agriculture to our GDP? There is a lot of issues. So I'm happy with him. He's saying we need to increase productivity. We need to increase our agricultural output. And of course, other non-oil sector needs to be developed. But again, this is not new. The last administration for the past 8 years, they were telling us diversify the economy. But up to today, what has happened? So there must be that political will. For me, I don't even really think that, they would mention insecurity and all that. That is just one aspect of it. But let us do the bit we can. And of course, we begin to see an improvement in the economy. We must. For us, that figure is talking about that inflationary figure.
He has to also look at what is even the cost of
that inflation now. We're talking of a cost push inflation, where the rising cost of inputs, that is the issue. Rising cost of inputs, and it's affecting our production base. So when these manufacturers, when they produce, the cost of production is very high. And of course, they want to make their money by selling it higher to the consumer. So the first thing which I agree with him, increase our productivity, increase our crude oil sales, so that we can get more dollars from there. At the same time, look at other aspects of our economy, the non-oil sector. We should be able to, not just, like you said, not just sending this product raw. Let us see how we can add value to them and send to the international market. Because that's one thing, even if our crude, of course, thank God, they say Dangote refinery is going to be working, but again, it's a private refinery. But you can see Dangote now going outside the country to get his crude, because the Nigerian government, or we cannot supply him the necessary crude that he requires, and he's a private businessman. You cannot invest that kind of amount of money in that kind of project, and you just want anybody to disturb you. So he's going outside to get his crude, which is going to buy in dollars. So how do you expect him now, if he's refined, for him to now sell in local currency? But I just believe that the Nigerian government can have an arrangement with him where, yes, because of course NNPCL, we are told, has 20% in that Dangote refinery. So Nigerians has 20% of that refinery. So let's see how he can assist us, so that we can also get this petroleum product at, not even at a cheaper rate now, but at least the availability of this product. So we need to go back to basics, increase our agricultural activities, productivity and all that, then look at other non-oil sector to improve the economy in terms of our dollar receipts.
Okay, before I go further on this matter, I also like to talk about, we have all experienced this when we go out during our day-to-day activities, the cost of transportation, the cost of food, and we always hear, since this has been happening since last year, we always hear different representatives of our government telling us, okay, yes, this is a global situation, there are issues of insecurity in all over the world, so that's why we have issues with exportation and also importation. But this has led to today, right now, the cost of living in Nigeria is really, really high. Everybody is affected. I really don't know of anybody who doesn't complain of the cost of food, the cost of fuel, the cost of transportation. Yes, we saw during that speech with the Central Bank of Nigeria governor how he kept insisting that it is possible to reduce inflation, that the cost of living will also reduce. And we also, but how does this translate? Because we know that before we start talking about agro-produce exports, now how does this how exactly is this going to translate to the common man on the street? Because you're saying, okay, export our agricultural products. Do we have enough to feed with in this country to start with before we start talking about exporting? And how would that help us as citizens of this country? Because food is something we all need every day, every day. Please,
yes, let's look at it
please.
From this perspective. Let's look at it this way. Now, I have said a country that cannot feed itself, then you cannot stand in the Committee of Nations.
Yes.
God has blessed us with arable lands. If you go from my village to Zamfara, to Sokoto, to Badagry, we all have arable land. We don't have any excuse that we cannot go back to the farm. Agriculture used to be the mainstay of Nigerian economy in the days of cocoa, granules, oil palm. We're even told that some persons came to Nigeria to learn some of these trades.
From Malaysia to learn how to make palm oil. And they are the leading exporter of palm oil. Yes.
So what has happened to us? Because oil came and we just abandoned the farmland. Today, if you go to some villages, the youth don't want to go to farm any longer.
Well, sometimes they cite insecurity as the issue there.
Yes, the insecurity, for me, is just one aspect of it. There are some villages today, it is still the old people that goes to farm. And I must make bold to tell you that even in my own village, my grandmother does not need fertilizer. She will go and till our farmland, and she will produce a lot of cassava, which they can now transform to gari and all that. So yes, the fuel situation, when you remove subsidy without making proper arrangement, then, and you know that Nigeria economy is petrol driven.
Yeah.
Our transportation is basically on road. And all the energy they use there is what? PMS, or even in the industry, diesel.
Yes.
So once you remove that, I'm not saying removing fuel subsidy is a bad thing, but you must have measures on ground, and it has to be a gradual thing. Yes, we're among those people that said removal is good for Nigeria, so that we're going to save a lot of money. But where is the money that is being saved? How is it being used today now? And that is why I still call on the federal government. You need to be transparent. Now, we have seen some of the FAC allocation that has gone to all the state government. Even this one they have collected. Have we seen any meaningful development that the state governors have made? But everybody is calling federal government, federal government. What about the subnationals? What are they doing? So we need to go back and let our governors and, of course, the president, our ministers realize that they are there to serve the people. And if there are issues, challenges like this, there is nothing wrong to call experts and let people begin to talk and discuss and see that measures are being taken. Of course, I cannot stop talking when it comes to the issue of corruption. That is also a major problem. That is why we are in this situation today. So, yes, telling you to go back to agriculture is fine, but at the same time, like you have said, agriculture has to be mechanized.
It
has to be mechanized. Modern techniques. Of course, we have all the schools of agriculture, professors of agriculture, come out with improved breeds, improved variety, so that when our farmers use them, we're able to get as much harvest per hectare of land.
Yes.
I mean, there are some countries today, they say they are desert, but they are also exporting agricultural products. So we just need to go back and see how we can make agriculture more profitable to the youth, and of course, we can now begin to feed ourselves. You cannot tell me because there is war in Russia and Ukraine that we cannot produce enough wheat in Nigeria here. When we have the climatic condition for us to produce wheat that can serve some of our flour mill industry, and we begin to do, but we still import some of these things.
Yes,
so we need to improve our production. If it is insecurity, that can be taken care of, and let the government begin to show a lot of leadership in those areas, and we will see an improvement in the economy. Yes, for Cardoso, it is not going to be overnight for us to reduce inflation. If it is possible that by just a mere announcement, the government will have done that since, I will have seen the reduction, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. We need to look at those inputs that is making our production costs so high and see how that can be taken care of before we can see any meaningful reduction in inflation rate. Well, we're expecting the next MPC meeting that will be coming up in sometime the end of this month.
Okay.
I will see how the members in that MPC will be able to come out with reasonable rates that will push the economy forward.
Okay. We could also watch another clip during this, the governor's speech to the House of Reps members, where he also stressed further that there will also be a contribution, an increased contribution of 3.76% to our GDP in terms of crude oil production and agro-produce. But he also further stressed that we will also, that agro-produce also, back to agro-produce again, it also needs to be, needs to really be looked into. So I just want to state, recently we've noticed that our agro-produce has been rejected in the international market. So how does he intend to achieve these things? Because he also quoted from international organizations like the World Bank's ratings of Nigeria, that the World Bank rating of Nigeria has moved from being a stable economy to, I mean, rather, it has moved from being a stable economy to a positive economy. So how is that going to benefit us? Because we know we in the country, the citizens, we actually face this rising cost of living every day. Apart from that, the Forex issues too. So yes, we know international organizations like World Bank and also countries, international agencies like Moody's, like Standard & Poor, when they rate the economy of this country, they say we've moved from stable economy to a positive economy. But how are these things affecting the common man on the streets? Actually?
Okay, because thank you very much. Yes, when you have Fitch rating, Standard & Poor, these are just giving us projection, looking at it from their own perspective. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, you can come up, IMF can come and say they have a positive outlook in the Nigerian economy. There's nothing wrong with that. They are telling you that if you put things in place, then of course your economy is likely to be in this kind of situation. Yes, yes. It is not that because they made those kind of projection or pronouncement, then that is what it is. That is one. Then for our agricultural produce being rejected in the international market, that's why we have the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. That is, it's an international market. And your buyers there are people that wants to buy these products at the quality that is suitable for them in their own production. I'll give you an example. If you produce, maybe is it sorghum or millet, a certain variety, yes, and maybe as a brewer, I use it to produce my beer, and it's not the quality that I want, then I will reject. If you are selling to me as a brewer, you are a farmer, I will reject it. So the same applies our agricultural products that we are selling to the international market. They will need to measure, do a lot of analysis on those products. And if it does not meet the quality, the standard which those buyers want, of course, they will reject it. So that is why we need that Export Promotion Council. And we are doing a great job. You need to talk to our exporters, especially agricultural produce exporters, for them to understand the quality that these their buyers require and ensure that you have those kind of qualities and you export to them to reduce this incidence of them rejecting our product that we're exporting to the international market. I mean, I cannot buy a product that will not meet my specification. It's only when it has met my specification, I will pay for it and begin to use it for my own productive processes.
Okay, thank you very much. But I also want to talk about the Forex issues. Yes, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the governor, Mr. Cardoso, he stated that banks have been accused of speculation, banks have been accused of hoarding. So he created the NOP metric to see to it that between as to what the banks owe and what they own, there should be 0 to 20%. So can you please explain further?
Okay. Yes, again, I said
the NOP metric.
These are operational issues that the banks, in terms of their Forex operation, international operation, and CBN is the regulator of these banks. You have guidelines guiding those operations. So, but again, these banks are owned by private individuals, and they want to make profit. Now, if they have seen opportunity in terms of the Forex operation, the NOP and all that. Yes, they are human beings. They might want to try and go against some of those rules. We have seen here in Nigeria where some banks prefer to do certain things and pay penalty. Because at the end of the day, the profit they will have gotten can just override those penalties. So but we are saying, no, regulations for banks should not be rule-based. It should be compliant. It should be risk-based. That is, the banks too should understand their own action, how it is contributing to the detriment of the economy. Then it's from that perspective, CBN discussing with them the way of moral suasion. Then they also understand, of course, there is no banker today who does not understand the role.
Can you hear me clearly as I'm speaking to you right now? I hope you can hear my voice.
Any nation. In fact, the financial service industry generally, because normally we used to say that once the financial service industry sneezes, other sectors of the economy catches cold.
Certainly,
so
that's very
the CBN and the banks will need to come together and agree that yes, they also want to play their own role. Because for me, it will be to amount to an economic crime. Because if you are doing this hoarding and it's affecting the economy like this, and that's why I'm happy when they say, is it EFCC is going after institutions that are giving people dollar invoicing, you know? Yes, so we need to be patriotic Nigerians. Like we said, it is not only CBN or the government that needs to play a role when it comes to our economy. Every Nigerian has that role to play. And if we're able to do that, of course, we'll see a gradual improvement in our economy.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Fakora. I'm joined here in the studios with Mr. Charles Fakora, a stockbroker and investment banker with over 20 years experience. He has really explained further to us on the Central Bank of Nigeria's governor's speech when he met with the House of Reps members and the increase in the cost of living in the society. So we'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll still discuss further with Mr. Charles Fakora. Stay tuned.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souk News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it because this is Souk News.
Shout out to Souk News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souk News. Here's the Souk News who had the courage to transcend a locked off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souk News. Thank you very much.